To the Wednesday, February 6, 2013 meeting of the Falmouth Conservation Commission. First item on the agenda are requests for continuance under a determination of applicability. Ian Cotterill, 219 Grand Avenue, Falmouth, for permission to pump, fill, and remove the existing cesspool and install a new Title V sewage disposal system. Jen?
Yes, Madam Chairman, the applicant is requesting a continuance until February 20th.
So moved. Second.
Any questions on the board? Any questions from the audience? Okay, motion on the table is a continuance to February 20th. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. Marine Biological Lab, 379 Oyster Pond Road, Woods Hole, for permission to pump, fill, and abandon 2 cesspools for cottages numbers 13 and 14, and install a new Title V sewage disposal system with leaching trenches. Jen?
Yes, Madam Chairman, the applicant is requesting a continuance until March 6th.
So moved. Second.
Any questions? Any questions out there? Okay, motion on the table is a continuance to March 6th. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Sally Clements, 137 Lakeshore Drive, East Falmouth, for permission to pump and remove the existing cesspool and install a new Title V sewage disposal system.
Yes, Madam Chairman, the applicant is requesting a continuance until February 20th.
So moved. Second.
Any questions? Any questions out there? Okay, motion on the table is continuance to February 20th. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Vote minutes of 123. I only have 116 in my
Probably got it today.
packet.
I'll
Did we
double
do
check.
116?
Sure.
We did 116 last
No.
week? Oh, it's not on here.
116 last week, didn't
Did we vote it already? Oh, okay.
we? Yes.
Okay. So 123 we'll do next week.
Okay.
Request for a determination of applicability. Ian Cotterill, 219 Grand Avenue, will be February 20th. Marine Biological Lab, 379 Oyster Pond Road, will be March 6th. Continued request for determination of applicability. Sally Clements, 137 Lakeshore Drive, will be February 20th. I'm assuming you're working with that person, since this is now we have at least 2 continuances?
Yes.
Okay. So, moving right along. Thomas Garrity, 32 Cove Street, East Falmouth, for permission to pump, fill, and abandon the existing cesspool and install a new Title V sewage disposal system with pump chamber.
Yes, Madam Chairman, the staff has reviewed the project. We're recommending a -2 under the state and the bylaw with the resource area boundaries not confirmed.
So moved. Second.
Any questions? Any questions from the audience? Okay, all in favor of the motion on the table? This one's yours? All in favor of the motion on the table, which is to accept staff's recommendation, say aye.
Aye.
Which is a negative. She gave a negative, right?
Yes.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. Thank you. Seascape Association, care of Henry Leeds, Waterside Drive, North Falmouth, for permission to preserve the vista, to control invasive vines and shrubs, install native shrubs where gaps are created from invasive plant removal, and to prevent the existing composite boardwalk. Jen?
Yes, Madam Chairman, this was continued. There were 2 components to this. One, the vista pruning part of it, which the staff is recommending a -2 under the state and the bylaw for items 1 through 5 in their application, which is the vista work they'd like to do, and that is in accordance with the staff report written on January 17th. And there was also a request to keep the gravel underneath the walkway that goes through the dunes that was placed there, 1 without a permit and 2 in the coastal dune, and the staff had recommended that be removed and positive for that. The
Okay,
board
so
wanted
we can
me
have-
to go and look at it,
Okay.
but our recommendation's still going to stand on that one.
Okay, so we can have a discussion.
Absolutely.
I know at least 3 of us have been out there.
And here are pictures of that area from 2006 and then today. Not today, but present.
So, yeah, you want to
Like-
start?
Do you want me to make a motion to open the discussions with, or?
No, let's have the discussion
Well,
first.
I went down to the boardwalk.
I know we usually have a motion, but in this case,
Okay.
let's,
I really had no issue at all with what is there on the ground. Form following function, it's a very conservative boardwalk, it's not very wide. It is used by the association, and it funnels the foot traffic onto a shared beach area. It's coming off of a paved area, there's a berm that helps deflect some of the rainwaters. I think that what's blowing in from, well, as you can see, the rack on this, I really didn't, I think you'd be doing more harm than good. I think everything's gonna migrate on its own, and it's directly underneath the boardwalk. I had no issue with it.
any other comments?
I have a comment, just that I'd like to see it stay and be maintained for their use.
Okay, well, I have several comments. Well, I actually have a question first. Jen,
Yes,
was the boardwalk permitted
that boardwalk's been there for years.
for a long time? Okay, I went out there, and where the gravel is, for those of you who might not have gone, is just across the vegetated part of the dune. And I think without the gravel, with the boards just on, there is sand, but there's a lot of organic material, and I suspect in a really heavy rain, it would get fairly muddy. So I don't have a problem with that, but what I would request, and since you're here in the audience, is that as mitigation, since you didn't ask permission to put that fill in, that you plant one or two trees. I mean, you're gonna be taking care of your vegetation anyway. And the trees I would suggest are cedars, which if you put them, you can put them to the side and it won't affect cedars. Well, Jen, you work with staff, but I would suggest that you do that, which will also sort of make up for some of the control of the invasives. So, and I asked Jen, when I was out there, I called her, and I said, well, what's this cutting that's been done? She said, well, that was the original thing, they've worked with Mark, and it is a nice vista that you have there. And so I'm not saying you should block it with trees, but one or two trees to add some wildlife habitat to the area and make up basically for the impervious surface of the walkway.
Is there a preferred location for the trees? If I had my druthers, I'd like to put them over along the property line.
Yeah, and you can work,
I'd be-
Jen, is that all right?
Fine, we'll go out.
Work
and
with
show
staff?
them our
Yeah,
place.
yeah, I'm not, this isn't sort of a punishment, this is to improve the area, and I don't wanna, block a neighbor's view either. And it'll just frame your vista as you look out there.
Could I ask a
I
question?
would hope that the association does not do any more work in the coastal dune without at least consulting the staff. This is the second time
I
that,
think we've learned our lesson on that.
since I've been here, that your association has done this type of work, and once we can forgive, twice you know better than that. So
So-
I really stress that.
Sir, we know,
I understand.
Thank you.
sir, we know who you are, but could you just come and tell the world?
My name is Henry Leeds, and I'm one of the directors of Seascape Association in North Falmouth, and I live in Seascape. But my question was
Yeah.
whether or not the boardwalk isn't permitted as a result of having been in place long before the April 1979 bylaw, wetlands bylaw went into effect, which appears to me to make it legal. Now, I'm not, and believe me, I'm not arguing, I agree with everything
No,
you said.
it's absolutely legal.
And then,
We-
and then
we
the
We're
other
not talking
thing,
about the boardwalk, sir, we're
It's
talking
the-
about the gravel you place on it.
It's
that's
the-
what I'm coming to. That being legal, I thought we had a right to maintain it. And the right to maintain, we thought, was just a right which didn't require having to go back. And if we did have to go back, I do
A
apologize.
right to maintain the existing boardwalk, yes. The right to raise that boardwalk and place gravel in a coastal dune, no.
Yeah,
You can
a right to
replace your
maintain means to
boards.
keep as it is. So if you had a
Fine, I
a
understand.
boardwalk, you could replace the boards, but it doesn't mean you can switch to a different
Understood.
kind or
It was
make
just
it
a question
higher.
of
Just to,
clarification.
just to
Yeah.
make it, if I may, Madam
Yes.
Chair, if you replace 2 bundles of shingles, roof shingles on your house, doesn't require permit. But if you do a substantial amount, it does. No one's saying that any of the boardwalk, yes, is legitimate, but any of the activities henceforth particularly should be recognized by the association, realizing that any of the activities need to be minimally a discussion with staff, if not anything more than that.
Thank you very much, and I do appreciate the clarification. I assure you, we will work with the staff, and if we don't do it personally, we intend to have a certified landscaper who will, in fact, then work with the staff.
Yeah, and a lot
Yeah,
of,
on the Vista Pruning Mark met out
Yes,
there with
absolutely.
Chris Mark and Sons and
That's right.
Barbara, and that's fine.
a lot of things that you may think of, you may call Jen and
Give
she'll
us
say,
a call.
she'll just
Okay.
give you an administrative approval to do something. I mean,
Right.
you know, there are things that you might want to do, but just things that are done within our jurisdiction, you should clear that you don't need a permit.
I do understand. Thank you very, very much.
With the,
You're welcome. So now you
I
can make
would
a
like,
motion.
I'd like to make a motion to have all of the individual items, 1 through 6, a -2 under the state and the bylaw, with
Second,
the resource areas not confirmed.
second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the table. Was that the items?
Yep, 1 through 6, in
Okay.
accordance with, basically the staff report that details the discussion that Mark had with the association's representatives on site.
Right.
Again, Chris Mark and Sons and Barbara from Warwick.
Okay,
And with the placement of 2 additional cedars. And Mr. Leeds, we can talk to you about an appropriate placement out there in the dune. That's not going to block any of your neighbors' views or anything like that, just to increase the wildlife habitat aspect.
and
Now, when you say-
make sure when you hire a landscape architect, I don't know if you have or that person was out, but make sure that if that person doesn't understand what you've agreed to have that person contact the staff.
We intend to hire only somebody who has a relationship with the commission.
Okay, good.
Do I understand when you say you're approving 1 through 6, subject to not requiring improvement in this stuff?
Correct,
That is
Correct.
correct.
correct,
And putting in 2 trees?
correct.
Yes.
Thank you.
Did you get all that, Susan? Good, thanks. We have a very good recording secretary.
Oh, I know him very well.
Oh, you do? Oh,
Goodness.
so the motion on the table is
The negative
is
determination.
to accept staff's recommendation of a negative determination for 1 through 6. The gravel can stay, the 2 trees will be added, and you'll work with staff on the location. And there's a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let me just go through my spiel. Continue to request for a hearing under a notice of intent. All hearings of the Falmouth Conservation Commission are heard simultaneously under the authority of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw. Although a single decision is issued, it represents a separate decision under each authority. Now, we have one person who's going to recuse himself.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Don't go too far, though, because we have to vote. Now, Mike, you can go home. Okay, Elizabeth and Michael Nemetz, 46 School Street, Woods Hole, for permission to construct and maintain a detached 2-car garage, install dry wells, native mitigation plantings, relocate and plant trees, connect to a town sewer, utilities, reconfigure the parking, remove a portion of the stone wall, maintain the existing irrigation system and the associated clearing, excavating, and landscaping. Jen?
Yes, Madam Chairman, this hearing was continued so that Mike could further identify where the mitigation plantings were.
Okay.
Let's see, I have a quorum on this. Okay.
Mike?
My
Tommy, Mike, Betsy, Michelle, and Courtney.
My name is Michael McGrath. I'm a registered engineer and professional land surveyor. My office filed this. We also agreed to continue the hearing because it was brought up that by some abutters that we had not filed with the Board of Appeals. So last Wednesday, we filed with the Board of Appeals and gave you copies of all the information we gave to the Board of Appeals. It turns out that this is also within a historic district, and they filed with the historic district. And while they gave you copies, it was late, but there's nothing in there that actually affects the environment. The bottom line is that I brought the wrong colored plan. The plan before you shows the garage to be relocated over into this area from the original hearing. And the plans have been modified so that they're more or less in that area. There was a question about what actually exists on the ground, and what exists on the ground is different than shown on the plan of record, in that the owners have had flowers planted and things like that. There were at least two orders of condition. One was an original, and then there was a modification. And there was a certain group of plants that were agreed to. Then there was an order of conditions for a pier. And so what I've done is I've ignored all of the supplemental plants that were added, the specimen plants. And so if you went out there, there are, where you're used to seeing lawn given up, we've actually have gone by what was the contractual line, and we're adding more mitigation plants in places. Those plants are, the mitigation plants are not over lawn, but they're over specimen plants. So I did it because the original orders had the definitive boundaries of the mitigation, and you're getting more mitigation, and specimen plants do not count, even if some of the specimen plants might have been on your list. So that was a key thing. The other thing the commission wanted to see was architectural plans. The architectural plans show that the finished floor of the garage is 12, the rear of the garage is elevation 9, so the garage will actually be at the same elevation as the top of the existing wall. In the revised, in the letter that describes the revisions to the plan, I included the various areas and how we calculated the mitigation plants. So I believe that this project conforms with your requirements to get approval. We have filed with the Board of Appeals. There'll be a hearing at some point in March with the Board of Appeals. So I stand ready to answer any questions you might have concerning this application.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Jen, do you have any further questions?
No.
Okay. Court? I'll come back.
The garage pour, you said the rear elevation is what, 9?
9,
And the front is what?
12.
So you're gonna have, you're gonna be going down 4 feet below grade at the back to get to your footings, right?
Right, absolutely.
So basically you're gonna have, is that gonna be a 12-foot pour on the backside, is that?
No, 4 and 3 is, it's going to be a traditional cellar.
I'm sorry, yeah. You're gonna have a cellar in there, or are you gonna fill?
No, we can't have a cellar because this
You're gonna
isn't a
fill it up
flood
with dirt.
4 and 3
Yes.
or 7, right?
Yeah.
17.
So the grade in the back of
What did I-
the, so,
No, you didn't say. You
Oh,
said 4 and 3.
17.
I think we
Yeah.
went over this last time, so bear with me, because I'm old.
Older than you
So
are.
No,
the finished grade in the back of the house is gonna be at elevation 9, is that
Yeah,
correct?
that's correct.
And then you're gonna have 3 feet of, 4 or whatever it is, feet of foundation showing till you get to the,
Yes.
or you're gonna have sheathe it, but at least you're not, I understand, okay. And you're gonna fill in the hole
Yes,
and pack, and then pour. And this is a 2-car garage, correct?
yes.
Thank you.
Michelle,
No questions.
Tommy,
No questions.
Mike.
No question.
I have a question, Mike. This is like about a 450 square foot increase, and you have about 1,500 square feet of mitigation planning.
That's right, it's
Okay,
495.
is there a tree? Did you add a tree?
Yes.
There
I'll
are
put
2.
them in orange on the color plan because they got moved.
In orange? I didn't get a
Ah,
colored
I'm
plan.
No, I'm gonna color it on you,
Oh, you're gonna
so everybody can see what I'm about to say.
I see it.
There's one
Tupelo?
here, there's one right at the edge of the easement, and there's another one at the edge of the hedge. Something like that.
Okay, one is gonna be a relocated tree?
Got it.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
this one.
Transplant.
Got it.
This one, this one.
And then- So one transplanted and 2 new ones,
Yes,
okay? And the driveway is going to be the
that,
granite strips?
yeah. There's granite strips there already.
Right, right, I know,
And we're
right.
just gonna lift them up and
Turn them sideways,
turn them side.
okay. Okay, and I just want to make one other comment. There isn't anybody here, but we got about
You got
20
a
letters.
stack of emails,
We got a stack of letters,
but
and,
none of them pertain to the wetlands area.
well, that's what I'm going to say.
Oh.
We did get a stack of letters, and although all of us are sympathetic with people's issues with where things are built, sometimes we might like it and it can't be built, or we don't like it and it can be built, but all the decisions that we make are based on our regulations. And the way regulations work is people who are applying to do things have to live by the regulations, and we have to live by the regulations. And so, I suggest if any of those people have issues that can be, you still have 2 more hearings, right?
Right,
Historical
and Board of Appeals.
District and the Board of Appeals, those would be the places to articulate those concerns. Okay,
Could I just say, this is the biggest residential lot on your pond, so they can conform to the requirements of the regulations, and there's very few lots on your pond that could comply. They're all very small, so.
Courtney.
For the record, well, this doesn't directly pertain to conservation. The structure is shown, the elevations is shown, conform to the zoning requirements of the town, in that you cannot have a detached accessory building like a garage that exceeds a ridge height of 18 feet, based on the average grade across the front, which would be the front of the building. And the elevation shows 17 feet 11. So it conforms in that sense.
Okay.
And it's a 2-car
Well,
garage.
you can move on to the ZBA next.
So ZBA has the next step.
Not yet, he's not gonna move yet. Huh? He stays. We stay. We're staying.
Say stay? Oh, stay.
Stay. All right. Could we have a motion
I'll
then?
move to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Second.
I will, but Okay, there's a motion and a second on the table to close this hearing and take it under advisement. Are there any other comments? Here, any comments from the audience? Okay, all in favor of the motion on the table, which is to close the hearing and take it under advisement, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, so moved. Hello, Tom? Okay, vote orders of conditions. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
For the first two.
Can I start with one?
Yep.
All right. Christopher and Betsy Crowley, Pine Bank Road, North Falmouth.
Form is Tommy, Mike, Betsy, Tom, and Courtney. And we all remember the Pine Bank Road project.
We all remember the Pine Bank Road.
Warwick and Associates proposed house on that lot down by New Hampton Harbor.
That's going to be
You'll
up on
remember
pilings.
It's going to be up on pilings, the septic's going to be underneath, and the breakaway panels are going to be.
No breakaway
I'm sorry,
panels.
No breakaway panels. The panels are going to be surrounding the garage, but they are in the flood zone A. The only special conditions we're going to place on that is she still may need to modify that limit of work on the street side of that house to protect some of those cedars. I'm going to meet with Barbara to discuss where she wants to put the cedars and the plantings for the project down by the bank. It should be basically tucked in right where that existing grove of cedars is. They will have a condition that they cannot armor that eroding coastal bank at any time in the future. And that's under the State Wetland Protection Act and the bylaw. And they were made aware of that at both those hearings, that that condition is going to be in there.
And it's required under the
We'll
act.
probably want to see something from the Board of Health just to make sure that they really can put that septic underneath. So when the Board of Health issues a permit, we'd like to see that.
So, right, should be included.
Because it was a great use of the space, but I know there was some back and forth as whether or not that was actually going to be allowed.
Right.
But all the other
And-
space underneath in the structure is going to be, it's going to be an open pilings.
What I would put is that if there's any I mean, I know we have this as a regular condition, but I would specifically say in the special conditions, if there's any modification of the location of the
Septic.
septic, they'll have to come back for an
Yeah.
For an
amendment.
amendment.
Any modification of the present septic. Okay.
Make a motion to accept the order as discussed.
Second.
Okay, any other further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Town of Falmouth Beach Department, care of Don Hoffer, 318 Quaker Road. We only had it 2 weeks ago.
I think it's everyone.
Everybody here was here.
It's,
We were all here.
John Hoffer, beach superintendent, proposed handicap ramp on
Access,
the
yep.
resident side of Old Silver Beach, tucked in right next to that
Yep,
seawall.
looks-
Yeah.
So
looks good.
That's fine. The only special conditions is basically keep all that construction debris out of the dunes and let us know when they're gonna be building it.
Yeah.
And
Is this,
they're good
is
like
this
that.
DPW is gonna,
I'm not quite sure
building it, or
who
they're gonna
John's
contract somebody?
have
yeah,
do the work.
okay.
I think he either had AmeriCorps or the Sheriff's Department construct the last one.
Oh.
I'm not quite sure where he's gonna get the labor for this one yet.
Okay, yeah, but I would then have a special condition that the site be maintained.
Yep.
Cleaned every day.
Absolutely.
Do you have the others? Do you want to do the others, or do you want
I'd
to wait?
make a motion to
Oh, we
accept-
haven't finished this one.
accept the order as discussed.
Second.
Any other comment? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved.
We can do the other ones if you'd like, Madam Chairman.
Everybody ready for the others?
Yes.
William Chan, 4 Circle Road, Wacoit.
Four Circle Road, if the board remembers, you heard this, I believe, last week. They are coming in to rebuild their dock that was damaged in Tropical Storm
Oh, that's right.
Sandy. It was more than 50% damage, therefore it was not covered by the emergency regulations issued by DEP for that storm event. They have dropped off a plan with the soundings and the mooring field.
Nice.
That's already been done. I spoke
Perfect.
to the consultants the day after your hearing
Yep.
at length, and we'll be meeting out there with Cape Cod Docks prior to them coming in with their barge.
Good, they did a nice presentation.
So, basically, the standard conditions are just gonna be those for a dock. Let us know when the barge is coming in. Make sure it's on a high tide. They're well aware of the grant in that area, so they know they have to work around Atlantic oysters and
Yep.
be aware that the cages are out there. So that was something I talked to them about the next day.
Okay, great. Okay,
Motion to accept the order is discussed.
Second.
any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Daniel Vlock and Joyce Myers, 53 Quonset Road, Falmouth.
Yes, Quonset Road, they're raising and rebuilding the structure, pulling it back away from the resource area, which is good. They're doing some restoration plantings in the, like, down on the bank that had been historically cleared. They're providing mitigation plantings in accordance with your regs for the increase in impervious surface on the structure, the new structure. They would like the dock to be permitted. It has shown up in the aerials since the 1950s, so the staff is comfortable that that is clearly a grandfathered structure in that area, and they will be seeking a Chapter 91 license for that. And I believe the only outstanding issue on that property was
The
that
little wooden deck,
little wooden deck.
that's in the velocity zone.
That's in the V zone, it doesn't have a permit, and unfortunately, we just can't see it in the aerials. So
Well,
there's
I
no
think you can't see it in the
definitive
aerials
evidence
because it
that
wasn't
it
there.
has existed. We just can't
When you
see
say
it.
you can't see it in the aerials, do you mean
The aerials aren't clear, we can't see.
even the more recent ones?
The more recent ones, it's there, but they're saying it's been there for 30 years. I mean,
So
in 2005, it
from
was.
1990 back, you can't, it's not
No, from
clear.
2005 back, we can't see. I mean, from 2005 on, we can see it, but that's it.
I don't know that they were necessarily claiming it was grandfathered. They just want to keep it.
They want to keep it. They did make a statement that it had been there for like 30 years, but I can't.
But still not
They
grandfathered.
can't prove that, no.
Ironically, I was a contractor on that site back in the early 90s. I don't recall seeing that thing there, but then again, in fairness to the applicant, I was too busy building the building, and I never went down and took a look.
So that's, yeah, that's the only outstanding
But they haven't, they did not
question before.
present any
Yeah.
information
No.
demonstrating that it's illegal.
I'll make a motion that we approve the order with the condition that the deck in question be removed, but all the other conditions that we put on it are okay.
Second.
The drywall detail, she said she was going to submit.
I'll get Barbara to submit that. I'll put it in the order.
You have that too. And I'm just going to add one thing to it, that native plantings be put in place of the
deck.
deck.
Oh, yeah, definitely, because they're restoring that whole area down there
Yeah,
anyway.
well, I know.
Correct.
And it's
Okay.
not as if there's no place to go and sit there, because they do have a dock.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, there's a motion and a second on the table. Is there a motion?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, motion and a second on the table to approve this project as discussed, with the conditions as discussed. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Okay, John and Patricia Ramey, 80D Little Island Road, West Falmouth.
Yes, the board will remember this, you saw an addition and a septic upgrade on this, and now they want to raise the house.
R-A-I-S-E,
Yes,
and fill in dirt underneath.
Yes. So, to protect the structure from storm damage. There are 2 trees that'll need to be removed, the 2 cedars in the front. We heard testimony that they're probably just not going to be able to save those. And they're doing some slight modifications around the back of the house, near the resource area, but nothing staff has tremendous concerns on. It's going to be a big project,
That whole lot is very heavily,
yes, but it'll
Vegetated.
protect the structure.
I'll move to approve the order as read and discussed.
Second.
any question? Okay, all in favor of the motion on the table, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moves. Other business. I know you're all thrilled that there's something in the other business category. And that is, who's that?
Sorry.
Oh. It's a good thing it's you, Susan.
Stenographer gets a pass?
Yes,
She
Yes.
gets one pass.
One pass?
yes.
That's my second. I think it's
Uh-oh.
Don't write
One
that,
a night,
don't
you get
record
one
that.
I
pass a
think
night.
I'll go away tomorrow, and I'm not coming back till March.
No, we'll give you one more pass if that's what we
She's
have to.
still going away
deal
tomorrow.
with.
She
Oh,
still
she
won't
is?
be back till March.
All right, no more passes then.
Just don't record it and it won't count.
Okay, I just want, today is sort of is the first discussion, but it's going to be a very brief, it's a procedural discussion about procedures, which is 10.05, and land subject,
It's actually that whole front section, so 10.101.
10.01 through 10.05,
10.15.
10.15.
Yeah,
too much
we'll go-
reading.
We'll go 10.01 through 10.15 and 10.38. She said, I know what she sent you, I told her that, and we're gonna do the whole section, because there are parts in there that need to be cleaned up, like the fee schedule and things like that.
Okay, so, we're going to discuss what hearing are you for?
The School Street?
It's already
Really?
finished. But you may sit here and listen to a short discussion on modifications to the regulations if you like.
And that's it?
That's it.
Here for the School Street School, what happened?
It's,
We already had
had
the
the hearing.
Well, something was canceled and it moved forward in the agenda.
No.
Expected it like 8 or so.
No, well,
It's going to zoning next.
it's going to zoning and historic district.
Did it pass here?
It hasn't
was
closed the hearing. We'll take the vote next week or the week after.
Why?
That's how it's
Why
normally
what?
done.
That's how it's done.
They close the hearing, take all the information, and at another time, we discuss what conditions are going to, potentially going to be, and it is then voted and becomes a notice of intent, or not, whichever way it goes. And that's done within 21 days from tonight.
Yeah, and
That's okay.
the reason, there are some that you could probably close and vote right away, but it's always better to give a week in case there's something that bothers you. You can go back to the file, you can look at it, and then you have a discussion. Okay, so according to our procedural regulations, actually, in changing, working on regulations, the way the process goes is that in order to change regulations, we'll have a series of public hearings. So today's the first one, and so the announcement is that we're going to work on these. All of us, I assigned homework to everyone, and I'm sure nobody did it, but that's okay. Not true? Oh, not true. All right. Hardly it. Almost no one did it. But what we're going to do is for sections 10.01 to 10.15, actually, Jen's going to work on those, and in a month to 6 weeks, we're going to have a draft to look at, and she'll highlight where the changes are. For land subject to coastal storm flowage, what I suggest is perhaps in 2 or 3 weeks, we set aside maybe a half-hour discussion where each of us can come in with areas that we think are critical and need to have some more discussion, and we need to look up more information, and invite the public, and especially the public who has to work with the regulations every day, the engineers and the lawyers, to come in and say areas where they think we should be looking at it and making things clearer and so forth. I would also like, and Jen and I will discuss sort of when this will be, say 2 or 3 weeks. I would also like people to be thinking about the kinds of information you might like to hear, people you might like to hear from. For instance, I think we should hear from some of the people at USGS who work with sea level rise issues, the effect of storms on coastal areas. And we might also get some people who do a lot of building. We might get somebody from FEMA and engineers who do a lot of building in storm areas. So if people would like to give, if anybody knows anybody good, Jen, you could probably get some contacts for a FEMA person. But I think it would be good to have short presentations from those experts as we're working on these. And so what we'll do is,
If I may,
Yeah.
I'd also suggest that we have somebody from the building department, perhaps a Ladia, come in, because some of the issues in 10.38 have to do with building code issues.
right, we might have him
We-
explain
we
why.
wrangle with this stuff, breakaway panels and, things on pilings and all that stuff.
Right, so these are some of the areas you should take the copy that we were given and circle some of these as to, we'd like to understand more about this issue or that issue. Then what we'll do, when we've defined areas that we want to work on, either Jen or I, or if somebody wants to volunteer, can take sections of the regulations and modify them, and we can have some discussions on them. And then, we'll work through those, and then we'll have sort of a final discussion with the public, and then after 2 weeks, have a vote. Is that
Sounds good.
okay?
That's the beginning of the process, yep.
Yep, does that sound all right to everyone? So, let's say, I'll tell them in just a minute.
March 6th.
Wait a second. March 6th,
Yeah, that's the next time where everyone's here, because you're away at some point.
various people are away.
Yeah.
Okay, so March 6th, we'll have discussion. So your homework for March 6th, and I expect everyone to do it, I expect everyone to follow Mike's example, is to take the draft that you were given and to mark it up to areas that you think we want to address. Okay, those of you who are here for Woods Hole, Woods Hole's already been finished. So, okay. Mike?
I would suggest the first person you should consult is, there's a FEMA specialist in Boston, and I don't remember his name, but I'll be happy to get it for you. The bottom
Will
line,
you give it to Jen?
Yeah,
so she can
I'll send it
contact-
to Jen.
Yeah, send it to me, Mike.
yeah, I think his name is Mendelson. The bottom line is FEMA is remapping Cape Cod. They originally published maps over a year ago, but they had so many objections, and a lot of the objections related to the fact that they hadn't included Lomers and Lomas. So they've actually are going to remap the entire Cape, and as I understand it, it's supposed to go before town meeting either late 2013 or April 2014. So I think you should hear from them what their schedule is, because obviously if they reissue new maps, you may have created a conflict. So that's my suggestion,
Why does it go before town meeting?
because it's a zoning change.
Oh, so the velocity zone is a zoning,
The whole map is in the zoning bylaw, and that's the vehicle that FEMA's used in Massachusetts to impose floodplain. It's in the zoning bylaw.
okay,
So-
good. Well, I think, I don't think that'll affect the regulations in terms, it might affect what happens at various people's properties, depends on where that line falls. But if there's an established line, that's what our regulations are based on. But I
I
appreciate
just
that.
wanted to make sure you knew that it's
Yeah,
coming.
yep.
And I'm not, I think it's not only going to be maps, but there may even be new performance standards, but I don't know that for sure. But invite the FEMA guy and get it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Get it
Mike,
right
if you
from,
could email me his name, that
Yeah,
would
I-
be, that would be great.
I think it's Mendelson.
Okay.
He's a public servant, he'll come down.
To our great town?
Why not?
Why
Good night,
not?
Mike.
Yeah,
Court.
and this is either to Mike or you or an observation. These new, not only the new FEMA maps, but the way they are mapped and the way they're defined on the ground may have some bearing on our 25-foot Falmouth offset, simply because if I
Right.
recall right, that was so drawn because there was when you amplified the width of a pencil on the ground from the scale of the map, there was a
Well,
margin of error.
Story comes.
That's a rumor. That's one of
that's
the
a good
rumors.
rumor.
That's a great rumor.
That's
I'm not
one of
quite
the
sure it's
rumors.
true.
I'm not sure it's true. But it's irrelevant.
But my
It's
point is-
irrelevant.
my
We're
point is whether
starting,
it's
we want to
relevant-
know what the,
Whether that's relevant or not, Betsy, the fact is if FEMA's methodology to pinpoint the location of the boundary may have some bearing on whether or not that 25-foot
Oh,
offset.
whether or not
That's
we
my
need a
point.
25-foot
Correct.
offset anymore.
Yeah.
Correct.
Absolutely.
correct.
That's my point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if they can map.
How they determine.
Right, if
this.
they can map sort of more accurately than they, or more, at a finer
Precisely.
scale,
Precisely.
right.
But the purpose for the 25-foot wasn't just precision, but to account for future sea level rise. Right?
Well,
So,
we don't, no, see, none of us know
Why? Okay.
why, but,
So we may,
So
but
we
we
may
may still
continue
decide
it
that
for
we
that-
need
for
that
that
for,
reason.
yeah,
Right.
okay.
year from now, we all will know why.
are you gonna tell us, because
Are you going to tell us
we were here
another
at the
story,
time?
Mike?
Falmouth was one of the lucky towns in that we provided FEMA with 2-foot contours. But if you go back and do a public records research to look at how they set up the floodplain maps in many towns, and I did so in Chilmark, I found they used the quadrangle maps, which are very poor quality when they originally set up the floodplain. The regulation that adds the 25-foot came from a consultant who was familiar with mapping in other places, and I've said all along, we have better mapping as the base for our floodplain maps. The only issue is they only did 14 or 15 transects, and what I understand this current approach is to do many, many, many more transects so that it's more precise. Plus, they're redoing the aerial mapping for this, and of course, as the governments want to do, they're going to change the datum.
Oh,
Yeah, which is,
that'll be fun. Well, that'll
as a
keep you
land
busy.
surveyor, I just shake my head because we have NGVD spirit levels, and they're going to switch to whatever the thing is called, but somehow believe the GPSs are precise. I just found a significant error in Woods Hole of all places. So we're going to switch datum, and it's going to be a nightmare, because, believe me, it's not a consistent difference. It varies. So anyways, there'll be whole new maps, whole new data, and theoretically, it should be a lot more precise than what we had before.
Which is good.
So, but that is an interesting point, and it's something that we can discuss when we get to that part of the regulation. So, Mike, we're certainly hoping that you and some of your fellow colleagues participate. You're the only one there. You're the Mike I'm talking to.
Mike and I had this discussion the other day.
We did have a discussion. Somebody left last.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
No, I'm suggesting it. Oh, you moved, so moved,
I
then
moved.
second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstention?
I was Ted Linneas.
Unanimous, so moved.
That his name?
I think so.
Good sell.
David got it.
Yeah, Ted.
We have to